The Scopes monkey trial is often forgotten in the sea of historical events. Timing is probably a culprit for the state of affairs, coming as it did in 1925, preceding World War I and preceding the Great Depression and World War II. But in the long scheme of events, the trial seems to be a mere blip on the historical radar. The truth, of course, is that the trial had long-reaching effects which are still felt today. Probably the greatest effect that the Scopes trial initiated was the idea that Christianity, especially fundamental Christianity, was contrary to science. Many history books, especially surveys of American history, portray the trial as the definitive moment when fundamental Christianity was shown to be a humbug, since it denied the science of Darwinian evolution. As with many ideas, this one has escaped the confines of academia and has wormed its way into the broader culture. One example was a piece which Michael Schulson wrote for the Daily Beast this July entitled The Scopes Monkey Trial 2.0. It's not about the stupid science deniers. And in the piece, Schulson sounds the alarm, stating that, quote, "The lesson of the Scopes trial, after all, is not that some people are stupid science deniers. It's that scientific fact can all too easily be spun up into performances in archetypal dramas, until what's at stake is something that goes far deeper than the details of evolution," unquote. Citing, for example, that in 2004, Dayton County tried to, quote-unquote, ban homosexuality, while Bryan College in Dayton has added to its statement of belief that Adam and Eve were real, historical individuals. The warning is clear. Denying science can simply be the basis of what is considered to be an attack on human decency. The same sentiment is repeated in many different avenues. Bruce Bawer, in 1998, for example, wrote a book entitled Stealing Jesus, How Fundamentalism Betrays Christianity, in which he argued that the, quote, fundamentalist right draws a sharp distinction between saved and unsaved and worships a God of wrath and judgment, while more mainstream Christians who view all humankind as children of a loving God who calls them to break down barriers of hate, prejudice, and distrust. This basic understanding of the trial is skewed and doomed from the start. In the first place, as Dr. David Menton pointed out in his piece, The Scopes Monkey Trial 80 Years Later, William Jennings Bryan, the man who became the virtual boogeyman of the trial, was in communication with well-respected scientists of the day, such as Henry Fairfield Osborn, and was familiar with the evidence both pro and con in regards to evolution. Furthermore, his intention in acting as the prosecutor of the case was to allow local people to control what was taught in their own schools, and to, quote, draw a line between teaching evolution as a fact and teaching it as a theory, unquote. Hardly an unscientific crime, since the theory of evolution is officially to this day the theory of evolution, and not the fact of evolution. Also forgotten is the fact that Clarence Darrow's defense of John Scopes was amateur for a great Chicago criminal lawyer. As Dr. Menton pointed out, Darrow and his team knew very little about the theory of evolution and were unsuccessful in demonstrating to the court why it was imperative the theory should be taught in the classroom. In addition, much of Darrow's argument merely consisted of a rant against the Bible. In the second place, and dovetailing with Darrow's inability to defend the necessity of evolution in the classroom, is the fact that the Darwinian theory of evolution, in the words of Dr. David Berlinski, makes little sense. In Berlinski's explanation, the theory of evolution is a circular argument, since it says that whatever survives is the fittest, and whatever is the fittest will survive. Hardly a groundbreaking discovery. In addition, Berlinski has revealed that there is little evidence for evolution. Scientists have been searching for missing links for years with no luck. If evolution is true, Berlinski has argued, scientists have been searching... If evolution is true, Berlinski has argued, it would appear that something or someone had to be guiding it. Michael Bay made a similar argument in his book Darwin's Black Box, arguing that the biochemical evidence cannot be taken to support Darwin's system of randomness. Thirdly, the Scopes trial and its aftermath split science and reason, and faith. Belief in evolution was quote-unquote reasonable. Denying evolution was seen as an act of faith. The implication was that faith and reason were similar to oil and water. This is a false dichotomy, as the Catholic Church expressed in the First Vatican Council of 1870, quote, "Between faith and reason, no true dissension can ever exist, since the same God, who reveals mysteries and infuses faith, has bestowed on the human soul the light of reason." Unquote. The Scopes monkey trial drove a wedge between faith and reason based upon a theory that appears more dubious all the time. That wedge must be removed.